Hey friends, welcome to Halfway There. This is the show where we have honest conversations with ordinary Christians about today's Christian experience. We love to get into the nitty-gritty of what it's actually like to follow the Lord today in the 21st century. And I can't wait to just share this story with you today. I'm your host, by the way, Eric Nevins. You guys all know that. But thank you for downloading. We appreciate it. Today, our guest, she is a success coach. She's a two-time Olympian, and she is about to release her first podcast called Sprinting to Success, which I think sounds really cool. She's going to tell us all about it. Esmie Lawrence. Esmie, welcome to Halfway There.
Oh, thank you, Eric. I am so excited to be on your podcast. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Me too. I am excited to hear a lot more about your story. Tell us a little bit about your podcast that's coming out and some of the work that you're doing now.
Okay. So January the 5th, next year, I have a new podcast. It's coming out. It's called Sprinting to Success. And the goal of this podcast is to empower women who are working in high stress professions and women CEOs. And so the idea is to just empower them to step into their greatness, to live life according to what God intended them to be, and not to be afraid and manage and learn how to manage their stress. So we all know that stress comes at us, but it's how we think about stress. And just, so my goal is just so that they can live happier, more successful lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me an example of some high stress, environments that you're working with women on.
Okay, so women who are working in, somebody who's in a banking profession, somebody who is a social worker, somebody who's a nurse, somebody, anybody who is just working in any areas that they're dealing with a lot of people, and then they're stressed out, and they're more clients. They have more clients than they can manage.
Yeah.
So those areas.
More people equals more stress. A lot of times.
Definitely.
Amen. Okay. Well, that sounds really great. I can't wait to hear some more about that. Well, let's go back into your story, and I'd love to hear how God brought you up to this point. So tell us about, I don't know anything about where you grew up or anything. So tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So I was born in Jamaica, and my mom is just a great woman of God. So she was a single mom of 5 kids and living in the ghetto with a grade 8 education. So my mom decided that she is going to bring her kids out of Jamaica to Canada to have a better opportunity for her children and for herself. And so she had a lot of struggles when she came to Canada, left us in Jamaica, and finally, she brought us to Canada. And so
how old were you?
Canada, I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
And so when I came to Canada, my mom would bring us to church because my mom was working 2-3 jobs. As a single woman, she worked a lot, many jobs so she can put food on the table for us. And one of the things that my mom was very smart. One of the things that she did was she made sure that we went to church. And at that time, we went to church almost every day.
Wow.
After school, at least 3-4 times, a week, we would go to church. And of course, on Sundays. So she kept us busy because she was busy working. So she always knew where we were, so we would go to church. And that's where my journey with the Lord started, when going to church, and, I became a Christian and got baptized, and loved it because at the church that we went to, it was like we had a really strong young people presence in that church. And I just felt the love and the support from the community. So they became our, extended family.
Mm-hmm.
While mom was working, and and they would come over to our house. We would have prayer meetings and a lot of young people. It was such a really dynamic environment, and I just learned to love the people in that church, and they adopted us. Because I didn't have single mom, no dad, and so they brought us into the fold and loved us.
That's great.
And times that we didn't even have, my mom didn't have presents to give us, and Christmas times they would give us presents. Like we got a lot of presents, so that was my journey with the Lord.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. So that's a big change though, going from Jamaica to Canada. That's a lot colder.
Yes, yes. And, when I came off the plane, I'm thinking, oh, what? I you know what? I've never seen snow before.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
like, and it was in the winter. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a winter coat. And I thought, what's going on here? And didn't know what it was. I'm thinking, what's this slippery white stuff? And then, my mom, that's snow, and of course my mom brought us, a coat so we can put it on. But yeah, but it was exciting because it's a
Yeah.
journey, and it was exciting because my mom was in Canada and we were going to be reunited with my mom.
Oh, I
And
bet.
yeah, and
How,
that was the important
how
thing.
long were you separated?
Oh, about 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah. Yes,
Wow.
yes, 4 years. So my mom, when because in the place that where we lived, it's called Trenchtown, Jamaica, and but it was very poor, but there was a really loving community there. So my mom left my two older sisters in Trenchtown and sent me off and my brothers to Port Antonio to live with her aunt. So then I was in Port Antonio for about 4 years, and didn't see my other siblings. And my mom would come and visit, but I think probably she came to visit us once because there's a lot of money to travel from
Yeah.
Canada to Jamaica. So it was long, but so I was excited to finally be with my mom and the whole family. My brothers and my sister were reunited in Toronto with my mom. So that was exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so tell
Yes.
us about, because you mentioned that you came to Christ there in that church. What was that experience like? How old were you then, and like what happened? What was it that really compelled you to make that decision?
I think I was about 14.
Okay.
And what compelled me to make that decision was the love I felt in that church.
Mm.
Like everybody was just so caring, and they had, they call them elders in the church, and everybody were, they're my mother or my father, and, friends. And, they were just, I felt such love, and I felt this presence of God when we would sing, and they would speak in tongues, and, and I would just feel that love. And I think, so this is what when I see and I feel that love, I think that's what God is, love. And I felt it. And, so I was surrounded by that. And that's why I came to God. And also to my mom was an example for me because she was so loving and so kind, and I said, I wrote a story about her in the anthology book, and so I'm thinking that because she was so kind and so loving, and she showed me what God love is. And
Yeah.
that's why I came to Christ, because I was surrounded by love. And I think, yeah, this is God, love.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty powerful. What a powerful example.
Right.
You mentioned that anthology book. Give us the title of that because this just came out, right?
Yeah. It just came out. Yes, December the 11th, it was released, and it's called I am still here. Trials turn into transformation. And so when I heard that, when I had the opportunity to write my mom's story in the chapter, I thought, yeah, my mom was she what an example for me, and she had faith. And so there's a story I told when my mom went down to get her paper, to apply to become a Canadian citizen, and so she went down, applied, and then they told her not to put her children's name on the paper, and she actually put two of her children's name on the paper,
Mm.
and then so then she came back to where she was living. This is before we came to Canada, and so then her friend said, immigration called you, and they're going to deport you. Don't go back. They want you to go back to see them. And then, my mom, she prayed, and a woman of God, and a Christian woman. And so she prayed, and, and she said, I'm going to go down there. Her friends wanted her to run to the States they wanted to hide her in the States because they were sure that immigration was going to the Port Dolores, my mom. So my mom said, my mom was not the cowardly type, and she believed in God, and she goes, I'm stepping out in faith. And so she went down to immigration, and immigration said to her, congratulations, here are your working papers. What a powerful story,
Wow.
and that's what God can do. And that is what, when you believe in God and, in his power, and you just leave it up to him, that's what happens. And
Yeah.
so my mom, yeah,
That's like the complete opposite result, right? Could have gone one way really bad, but really worked out in her favor because of the Lord.
it worked out because she believed and she said, there's no way. So what's going to happen to my children if I go run to the States and they hide me? Then what's going to happen to my children? What's going to happen to me? And I don't, she didn't want to live that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went and she prayed and she believed, and she always says, God will make a way. Always.
Wow.
God will make a way. God will provide. And sometimes she said, I don't have any money, but she said, but God will provide. And then she goes to church and on Sunday, and then somebody came up to her and said, Sister Davis, the Lord, put this on my heart, lay this on my heart to give you this $200.
Mm.
And then my mom would come and tell us that she goes, see what happens when you believe in the Lord?
Yeah.
This gentleman came and gave me $200.
So your mom was one of your main spiritual mentors. It sounds
Definitely.
like. What was
Definitely.
that? What was how did her faith shape you?
Oh, my because of my mom's faith, I became a Christian, but I must tell you that I wandered off. I lost faith, not losing faith, but I kind of got too busy for Christ. When I was training to be an Olympian, I was busy, and most of my track meets were on Sundays, and training on Sundays. So I stopped going to church and basically lost faith. But the thing is, my mom, she said, Esmie, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. So she would have elders in the church and they would say, I'm praying for you. And sometimes I remember me calling my mom, from long distance, like, hey, Mom, how's it going? She goes, oh, she'd say, well, Sister Bradshaw is here and Mother Williams is here. And can we pray for you? And I said, yes. And then I thought, well, it's impossible for me to fail because I have prayers behind me.
Yeah.
But later on, and my mom died last year, December the 13th. And it's funny because I kind of said, I wandered away from God and I came back, so when I saw my mom in the hospital, Eric, I'm telling you, she was dying. Her body was frail, but she had the light of God in her, and you look and you're thinking, oh my gosh, and she goes, the Lord will provide, I'm okay. It's okay. And she wasn't afraid of dying, because she knew she was going to see her maker, and I thought about my life, and at that time I was very unhappy. I was in a failed marriage, and things weren't going for me. I was overweight. I was just so depressed, and then her spirit, her just the way she looked drew me back to God, and I said, you know what? That's what I want to look like when it's my turn to die.
Wow.
I want that light of God in me. And that's what my mom had.
Wow. That is powerful.
Yes.
That's just, wow, that's astounding. Okay. What a powerful testimony. Because here's the thing, it can be very hard to stay faithful over time, right? Or just to keep going. This is why there's so many encouragements in Scripture to do that. And yet it's so powerful, and you never know how you're going to inspire someone else just by believing and just by acting in faith. And your mom did that for you. That's awesome. I love that.
For sure. Her life was an example. And it's funny because my oldest sister, she's a preacher. She's a pastor.
Oh, cool.
And, so then, and then me being a Christian now, and my sister, she's a Christian. The only thing, and then my brother, I have two younger brothers. And so one, he believes, but he still, he hasn't given his heart to the Lord. I think one of these days he will. But my youngest brother, he disappeared about 20 years ago. And so he is gone. And so I don't know what happened to him. I'm not sure if he's dead or where he disappeared someplace. I don't know. But he's gone, and so wow. Because my youngest brother would disappeared. My mom, she lived a year longer than the doctor said she was supposed to die. And I think my mom was just waiting hoping that her youngest son would come and visit her, hoping that we would find him. And so that's one disappointment that my mom had,
Yeah.
She said, it's too bad. we didn't find Ian. Her youngest son.
Yeah.
So that was a heartbreak.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Even as you are faithful, not everything works out the way that we want.
Exactly.
I think that makes her faith even more powerful.
Oh,
to
for
still
sure.
trust in the
Because
midst of that.
yeah, life doesn't always work out the way you plan, and so, and because I know I envision, I would say, I envision better for myself, here I am, two-time Olympian, and and then I lost confidence. I had low self-esteem, and because I kind of forgot that I was a two-time Olympian, and I forgot what got me there, and I forgot the grace of God that got
Oh,
me
wow.
to be that two-time Olympian.
Okay.
So I forgot that story.
Well, tell me. So I want to hear that story. So, how did you get into? You were in track and field. It sounds like,
Yes.
right? So, how did you
Yes.
get into that? And then, how did you know that you were like you had what it took to kind of get to that level? Because that's an elite level. That is
Yes, it is.
really high. So, that's amazingly impressive. I'd never run. Even if there were a bear chasing me, I wouldn't run. I'd be like, okay, fine,
Well, you would if you had to.
maybe.
When the adrenaline kicks in.
I'd like run the bear around a tree or something. I don't know. Who knows? But it wouldn't be pretty. That's what we can know for certain. So, but you were running an elite level. So how'd you get into that?
So when I was in Jamaica, and it's a different culture there because I would run to school, like about 2 miles, whatever. I would run, because for some reason I was always late.
Uh-huh.
My aunt would say, "Come on, get ready," and I wait till the last minute, and I don't know why, but I would run to school. And I would beat all the kids, I would arrive at school earlier because I would run. And so when I came to Canada, I was in shape, but I love sports, because I just love how it made me feel, that I was special, I was somebody, because I was winning, right? So then I in high school, when my mom moved from in an apartment building into a government housing in Chesterley, Ontario, and so when the first day we got there, I heard lots of kids playing outside. So I went to see what was happening, and then somebody said to me, "Oh, do you want to race?" Because I see kids running up and down, right? So I went. I said, "Okay, I'll race." And then I somebody said, "On your marks, set, go." I won the race, and then somebody said, "Do you realize you're the neighborhood champ?" No, and then somebody goes, "No, you're not the neighborhood champ until you run against." I'm not sure if I can say her name, but run against this really fast girl in the neighborhood. Anyway, so this all of a sudden this girl, beautiful girl comes down and she goes, "I heard you're fast." I said, "I guess so," because I really didn't have confidence then. And she goes, "Okay, you want to race?" I said, "Okay." So and I beat her easily.
Oh, wow.
And we were like blown away, And then all of a sudden, this gentleman, name is Val Grove, started talking to me, and he goes, "I'm a track coach. You're really fast. I want to coach you." And I said, "Okay." So it just I didn't plan it. It just happened. So then I started in a track club, and I started winning, I made junior national teams, and I just kept on building and building and building until one day, I made the Olympic team with a lot of hard work, of course.
Yeah, well, right. I know you say that in one sentence, but it was like years of preparation and learning. Yeah.
Years of preparation, and hard work. And, and that was stressful too, because there are times that, after a workout, I could barely walk.
Wow.
Because you give so much, I remember sometimes I would just run to the bathroom, and throw up. And a couple of minutes later, I'm on the track doing a high intensity run, because that's what we do. And because I would push myself to the limit, because in order to be an elite athlete or elite at anything, you got to push yourself. And that's what I did. And of course I had my mom praying for me in the background.
Yeah. Wow. In order to be elite, anything, you have to push yourself. I like that.
Anything you have to push yourself, and that's, with my coaching program, I come from it as helping a former Olympian, helping ladies, women, to step into the greatness, to push themselves. You got to push yourself. You want to be the best in anything. You got to give it your all.
Yeah. So tell me about the spiritual implications of that, because you mentioned that this kind of was driving you. You weren't being able to go to church. It was kind of driving you in a different direction. What was that like, and what was your kind of thought about God at that time?
Okay, so one of the good thing about being a Christian, at a young age, I had really good values. And that was, thanks, to the Bible, and, you learn all the good values in Sunday school, but the thing is, I was being pulled towards, trying to become an Olympian, which means that I didn't have time to go to church. And not that, and so not that I didn't want to, I just didn't have time. And then when I was home on Sundays, I was tired,
Oh,
so
yeah.
then I just didn't want to go to church. And then I just kind of fell off, eventually, kind of moved away from home and fell off and didn't, stop going to church and stop praying, and so then I basically forgot about God, in the mix of things, right? But but every time I would call home, my mom would be saying, God loves you. Esmie, when was the last time you prayed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she kept on reminding, she kept on trying to pull me back. She kept on trying to pull me back, and you know what? Because even before I would, compete, I would still say a prayer. So I didn't forget God totally, but I felt like, I was, kind of, I, lost contact because I wasn't, I didn't always put him first.
Sure. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
this became a bigger and bigger part of your life. And then eventually you did compete in the Olympics. You said that was the 84 and the 88 Olympics.
Yeah,
I don't even know where those were.
So 1984, I was an alternate on the 4x1 relay team. And then 1988, I competed. And I competed in the heats in the 4x4 relay, and so, an experience. And what really bothered me about that is because, I thought I was healthy until I start running, and then an old injury kind of popped back up. I'm thinking, so I'm running, and I hear the crowd is roaring, yeah, like you have millions of people watching you, and then here I am, I start off strong, and I said, okay, Esmie, now it's time to pick up the speed, and I couldn't, and all I felt was my knee, and I felt, oh my gosh, no, just feeling embarrassed. I thinking, oh my gosh, no, when you feel that pain and the disappointment after so many years of training, I ran okay, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't run like, spectacular like I know I could, so that was kind of a disappointment, and so because of that, I always felt, like I was kind of afraid to say that I'm a former Olympian, because I didn't do well.
Yeah.
So that was that was a big disappointment. But, as the years go on, I realize that that's something special.
Oh, man, yeah.
Not too many people are Olympians and former Olympians. Come on. So I kind of slapped myself, but I wake up.
Absolutely.
Coffee.
Oh, yeah. That would be at the top of my resume if I could.
Yes.
And I don't think I could get on like a curling team at this point. That's, it's not okay. But I totally, I have so much respect for that. And man, not only just the talent that it takes, but also the hard work and the effort and even the confidence. There's a mind game that goes along with that.
There's a mind game. Oh, for sure. Like when you go into a race, it doesn't matter who you're competing against. You must know that you're the best. Because if you're going there to lose, then why train? Why just quit? But you got to go in there and just think of it. We have 8 people lined up for the finals, and we all think we're going to win.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be an awesome race, and so the one who stays, who maintain their form, the best. And when you look at, when you're watching TV and you look at runners, they look so smooth and look so easy. And people don't realize it takes sometimes decades to get that form.
Wow.
To get to the level where it looks easy, and people think, "Oh, I could do that." Well, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, until
some people. I don't, but some people do.
Well, some people, and so you go and run against an Olympian, even on their worst day, they're going to beat you by a mile.
Oh wow. That's amazing. That is so amazing. Okay, so what did you learn about yourself during your time in preparing and being in the Olympics?
Oh, I learned that I'm tough. I learned that if I put my mind to something, I can do it. And so even with disappointments, I learned that I have to take disappointments just, one step at a time, and I learned that, as an Olympian, I have achieved something great, and it just gave me confidence. And I learned that, Esmie, you can do anything you put your mind to do. If you put the time, if anything you do, you train like an Olympian, right? You're going to be successful.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because it's about time in. So when I do my coaching, it's about time in. I coach people like an Olympian. You have to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined, and so the times that, like, I don't feel like doing this, like there are times, it's like, as I said, I'm so sore and I didn't want to go train the next day. But guess what? I thought, oh, maybe for a second I don't want to go. But then I put my shoes on and I go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a goal. I have so it also, kind of told me that in order to achieve anything, you must have a goal. You must have something and be disciplined to follow it through. Even if you don't feel like doing it. I've learned one big thing is don't follow your feelings.
Yeah, sure.
Your feelings will fail you. Just do it. Just get up, like the Nike commercial, just do it.
Yeah,
just do it.
You have to do it and do it right now, right? If you think about something,
do it right now, because you can talk yourself out of success. Even my mom, like I said, being a single mom with 5 kids, and I would say, she would get up and she never missed a day of work. Year in, year out, and working her 2 or 3 jobs. I said, Mom, Mom, how do you do this? She goes, I don't think about it. I just get up and do it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Just what you got to do.
My mom's life was, her life was disciplined. She was very disciplined. And then she taught my older sister, Esther, to be disciplined. So when when my mom was busy working, Esther, she was the mom at home, and she ran the house like a clock. Even now she's disciplined. Because my mom was such a great inspiration for me. And so I learned how to be disciplined. I learned to go after what I want. Not always, because sometimes I fail, where sometimes I'm thinking, oh, I talk myself out of success. Right.
Yeah.
But when I put my mind to it, I'm thinking, okay, I really want this. I know what to do to get what I want.
Yeah, that's powerful. Okay. So after you were done with the Olympics, like I don't know what happens to you as a Olympian when you're finished. Like you got to go figure out what else you're going to do with your life, right?
Oh yeah, but you know what, Eric, I kind of went through a depression after I realized, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I have competed at a high level. What do I do now? So what I did was I went to France for 2 years. That was kind of on the downswing of my athletic career, and just kind of because I always wanted to go to France and compete, so I did that. And then when I came back to Canada, it's like, oh my gosh, when I was in school, I wasn't a good student because I didn't think school was important. For me, track was important and training. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't care about school. And then now it's like, oh my gosh, to get a decent job, I need an education. So I went back to school, got my bachelor's degree, and so did that, and and still use those principles that I learned in track and from my mom to do well in school, and I did that, but it's funny because as an adult, going into an adult learner, I'm thinking I was more focused, then, like now, as an adult learner than I was in high school. Because high school, I said I didn't care about school, so which is a wrong thing to do, right? Yes. After I finished after this Olympian finish, I had to go back to school and do my upgrading. I had to upgrade because the program that I wanted to get into, I couldn't get into it without going back to school and upgrading my education.
Yeah, so you had to kind of fill in some gaps from your education, things that you skipped over or didn't do well in order to get. And
school had to become important for me to do well. It had to become important, because I knew I wanted to get my degree, so I studied and I did that, and then but then it's funny because there's a time where I lost myself, it's like I became lost. I didn't know what to do. Okay, I'm in school. Okay, so I got married, then the kids came along, and that, has its own challenges, and me being big into sport, the kids had to be into sports, right?
Yeah.
So I give them a love for sports, but as the years go on and, went by, I, my husband and I kind of started, just wanting different things in life, so the marriage broke down, and then I just became so depressed, and then I looked around thinking, this is not how I planned my life. This is not what I want. All the things I wanted, the dreams I had for myself, I'm not doing it. I'm just, I come home and I was coaching track and field too. And track was my passion, coaching young athletes. But then I kind of lost that, and to the point where I didn't even want to go and coach. I went because, I know they were depending on me, but my heart wasn't in it anymore, So, I finally gave that up, because if you don't have a passion for something, what's the point in doing it? And you're not going to want to do it, So then when my mom got sick, that's when I found my new passion again. When I realized that my mom lived a great life, and what's wrong with me? My mom, a single mom, had 5 kids, and she gave me like a lift. I didn't start where she started. She didn't have me in the ghetto. Well, she had us in the ghetto. She took us out of the ghetto, gave me an opportunity to live a great life, could become an Olympian. And then here I am, depressed, overweight, sad, pitying myself, So then when my mom got sick, it woke me up.
Wow.
It woke me up, so she brought me back to God.
Yeah.
She got,
Well, so what were you thinking about God, or kind of what was your relationship with Him like during those years of depression?
Oh, Eric, I thought God abandoned me. I thought, wow, and I would say, Lord, I'm sorry for all the mistakes I made. I'm sorry. But I just felt, and I know that's not true, but I felt that He abandoned me. And then I thought, I thought, well, mom is praying. All the elders of the church, they're praying for me, but if God was on my side, my life would have been different. Things would have been different. Of course I had my successes, right? But my failures and failing in so many things, it's, I'm thinking, if God was on my side, I couldn't fail.
Yeah.
So that's, so that I just felt like God abandoned me. And, of course I know that's not true, because once I start, I saw God's presence in my mom, God was just showing me Himself through my mom. And I thought, you know what? And I feel God's presence. I feel His presence in the hospital, and the glow was on my mom's face. I thought, you know what? God hasn't abandoned me. I abandoned God. Oh, wow. So I had to bring myself back into the fold and start praying. Say, God, I surrender. I had to surrender everything, Eric. Yeah. I surrender for Him to lead me, because I was trying to lead myself. And if you lead yourself, you're going to lead yourself down the wrong path. I said, God, I try to lead myself. I led myself down the wrong path. I surrender. You lead me. You guide me, because I can't do it by myself. Guide me. That's what I did.
Wow. I love that. That is a powerful moment, Esmie. That is like, here's the thing. A couple things I want to say. Number one, what you experienced during those times of depression is completely normal. So for our friends who are out there who might have similar feelings of got abandonment from God, just know that there are whole books about this that is a normal experience. If you've never read St. John of the Cross's book, The Dark Night of the Soul, I would totally recommend that. Now, he was I don't know, I guess 15th century monk. So it's hard to, it's a different way of looking at things, but boy, he describes what God's doing in those times. He's refining and He's taking some things out of us, right? And He's making us realize some things. And so it sounds like for you, one of the things you realized is that you needed Him, that you could be successful, but you still needed Him.
Right.
And that He had actually given you quite a bit of goodness in your life.
Oh, He did. He did, and then once I realized that, I'm thinking, like God, I surrender, lead me, lead me, guide me, protect me, And so now I am the prayer warrior, because my
Wow.
mom is gone now, So I said, who's going to pray for my kids? Who's going to pray for me? Well, now it's my turn.
Wow.
So now I pray for my kids. I pray for my, the family. I pray because my mom, when she was, my mom sometimes would be on her knees and she'd fall asleep on her knees, and that's why now I think I can't fail because all the prayers that went up for me, and then sometimes I'm thinking, and then I realize I've lived a blessed life only because God had his hand on me, even when I didn't know it, even when I
Yeah.
couldn't see it or feel him, he had his hand on me because of all the prayers that my mom, sent up asking to protect me and guide me.
Absolutely. Wow, that is so beautiful. Okay. Friends, no matter how you feel that God is, whether he's close or whether he is far away, he is not. He is there for you. He is going to he is taking care of you and he is blessing you. And it's just sometimes a matter of realizing it, right? And so
Right.
sometimes it's the people that do that. So it was really your mom getting sick that brought you back, and you said you took us into that moment where you saw her and you could tell that this is where you needed to be, is to come back to the Lord. You said that was about a year ago, or your mom died a year ago, but
Yes.
you was
Yeah.
this
So that was about 2 years ago because she was
okay?
sick for a while. It took a year. She was sick and then, and then she died
Yeah.
last year.
Well, how has
Yeah.
your life changed? And like, I'm really curious what you've learned about yourself since then.
I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought, and so I've learned that you got to put God first in everything you do, and so now, before I go to bed, I'm praying, and sometimes I'm driving the car and I'm just, I'm praying and I'm singing, spiritual songs, and I just know that I just feel that I'm just blessed. I feel that I'm protected. I just feel the presence of God, and I don't even know how to explain it. I
Mm,
just know that He's with me, and I just know that I will always put God first,
wow.
and so now I pray and I'm still, because that's when you hear God's voice in the stillness. I
Yeah.
listen for God's voice now, you
Yeah.
know.
So when do you do that? When do you have your prayer time? Is that like in the morning or?
In the morning and at
Mm,
night, and even during the day, in my work now, I know before I go in to somebody's home, I would, I'll tell a prayer. I said, Lord God, help me, guide me, because I want to make sure that he guides me, and then I will just pray for my kids, I just, cover them, Lord Jesus, guide them, let them come to know
yeah.
you, and so yeah, so I just pray a lot now, and I just, because you can talk to God anytime, you know and so now I just, I pray, and I just feel He's in my heart.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. Okay, so you're also coaching and you're working with women. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that and
Okay,
what you're
so
doing.
so when because I was so depressed, I was, overweight, and then I basically lost confidence. And when I saw my mom and I made that transformation, when I said, what, like, when my mom I asked when my mom was in the hospital, I said, something said to me, ask her why she called you Sunshine. And then, so such
Mm,
is my nickname. And then, so I said, Mom, why did you call me Sunshine? And my mom said, she goes, your godmother called you Sunshine because she saw a light in you. And at that time, I was depressed, overweight, just like, oh, life is just not worth living, and then when she said that to me, like the tears was just running down my face. I'm thinking, um, a light, where's my light? I don't have a light. Where's my passion? I don't have anything now, And at that moment, I made a decision to find my light, find my passion. And when I did that, Eric, in 3 months, I lost about 20 pounds.
wow.
I was so stressed at work before. Now I go to work, I'm not stressed because I know stress is coming, but I know how to manage stress. I was eating better. I was a different person. And that's why I said I made that transformation in that hospital room. My mom did a lot for me, and so I made that transformation. And ever since I did that, I gained the passion to help others because I want others to be happy, to know that, you don't have to go around living and pitying your life. If you want to do something, do it. Put God first. Know what you want and then go for it and be happy. Be happy in your situation. And if you need to change it, change it. Right.
Yeah.
But just be happy, and so because of my transformation, I just had that passion, a passion to help women, to be who God intended them to be, to be the person they're meant to be. And I know that, so I said, I can help these women do this because, I did it for myself. And I know I have confidence, I'm not afraid anymore. And even if I'm afraid, I still do it. If there's something I want to do, I do it.
That's awesome.
So I said, do it afraid. And a perfect example is this. I did my first Facebook Live I think about a month and a half ago.
I saw it.
I was so afraid to do it, Eric. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing Facebook Live. I put it out there, because I had a coach that told me, put it out there. And then when the day came, I was so nervous. It's like, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I don't know why I was so nervous. But I did it, and I was nervous, and I forgot what I was going to say, but I did it anyways. And after I did it, I'm thinking, what was I afraid about?
Right.
What? It was the fear was imagined.
Right.
Then I said, well, you know what? I can do this. I don't have to be afraid, And I'm thinking, why am I afraid? I'm not afraid of. Who am I afraid of?
Right.
And my sister said, she says, Esmie, fear no man.
Yeah. Fear no social media. Right.
Yeah.
I think, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. So I'm just going to share that with you. Like 3 years ago, I started this podcast. Or it was 2.5 years ago in June, but 3 years ago, I bought my little digital recorder, which I actually have on my desk. I'm recording our conversation with it right now. And I did about 13 interviews. And I had to get over the idea that those interviews weren't going to be as great as I'd like them to be, right? Like they were going to be what they were. And then I had to edit them, and I did all the stuff. That took me a year. Can you imagine? It took me a year to edit 13 interviews. That was dumb. I look back and think, oh man. But what I realized, I've been thinking about a lot is, I did it. And the fact is that I did that. I worked through it. I produced them, and knowing that they were not going to be as high quality as they would, but I did it with the long-term view, right? So I could look in 2016 at 2019 and go, you know what? 3 years from now, I'm going to be really good at this. Right. And now, we just passed 150,000 downloads a couple weeks ago.
Wow. Congrats.
That's insane, right? I could have never have imagined that. Like I would have been happy with 10,000 downloads and that, and I have friends who that's what their shows, do. But, I'm really blessed. And so I'm starting to do some new things as well that I'm planning for 2019 that have already been out. And I'm sure my friends have heard about it because they've been on the podcast that are outside of my comfort zone, and that is that one experience that I had. Okay. This one might not be the best. 20 of them from now, it's going to be great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Because of fear, because we fear it's just as it's your imagination. It's not real.
Right.
It really isn't.
Right.
And so that was a good example for me for going and doing the Facebook Live. One thing I did learn, Eric, about this is like, you know what, nobody's perfect, right. And just be yourself and don't look for perfection. Because I was afraid of thinking, what if I say something wrong, or my accent comes out or my grammar, is wrong. I said, then I realized that, so what?
Yeah.
This is me.
Right.
This is me. And I'm not trying to please anybody, because if you try and please everybody, you don't please yourself. Be who you are, be genuine and, authentic, and just put out there and just be you. And because you're the best at being you, and so nobody can compete with me at being Esmie Lawrence.
That's right.
Because I'm the best at Esmie Lawrence. So then I lost my fear after that. So now I do a Facebook Live, and so I don't have to be perfect, right? And I'm not perfect. And so what? Who cares? Just go there and do it. If you do it because you have a passion, you have a purpose for doing it, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. That is fantastic. Okay, so Esmie, our friends here can find you at your website. That is esmielawrence.com.
Yes.
ESMIE Lawrence. And guys, if you can't remember that, just go to halfwaytherepodcast.com. I've got the link to her site, to Esmie's site, and the book that we mentioned earlier, that she has a wonderful article about her mom in there. And so you guys can catch all of that there. Esmie, anything you want to leave us with?
The only thing, as I said this before, put God first in your life and let him lead you and let him guide you.
Amen. That is beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us. Wow, it's so powerful. I think it's a great picture of mentoring and how one person, guys, all you got to do, just be that one person that exudes and spills over the love of Christ. It makes a huge impact.
Big impact. Thank you, Eric.
Amen.